Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters. Why did it have to come to this? I mean, I normally don't talk about movies much on my tiny little YouTube channel here, but I really felt like I should address this in some meaningful way that isn't just a forum post. See, I've always been a fan of the first Ghostbusters movie, literally as long as I can remember. Hell, I was born on the year that it came out, and when I was growing up as a kid, the two movies I really liked and kept watching over and over again on the old VHS tapes were Ghostbusters and Return of the Jedi. So I have a lot of good memories of Bill Murray and his phantom wrangling shenanigans. And then this entire mess of an ordeal with the reboot happened. And the thing is, you cannot talk about this movie and just talk about the movie. You really can't. There is a whole shitstorm of garbage flying around it, and you simply cannot discuss this movie without addressing that in some way. And I think that is really what upsets me the most about it, that it literally cannot be separated from the drama that it created. So that's what I have to do. I have to discuss the movie, and then I have to discuss the other crap. But as frustrating as it is that I have to do that, I think that there are some things that need to be addressed on a deeper level than just, hey, I'm a guy and I swear I'm not sexist. So first of all, let's just get this part out of the way first. You know, the actual movie in question. Regardless of the drama, regardless of it being a remake, regardless of anything else you can think of, put this movie in a complete vacuum and answer as objectively as possible, is this a good movie? The answer is no. It's not. It's not a good movie. It is. Is it a horrifying disaster and oh my god, the worst thing ever since whatever I said was the worst thing ever last week? No. It's not The Last Airbender, it's not Pixels, it's not Movie 43. It doesn't deserve to be put in that particular trash bin. Where it does belong, though, is on the ever more overflowing bin of cheap, lazy, annoying, cash grab, churned out, lowest common denominator, half-ass comedies that we've been seeing for the past while. It is mediocre at best, like a 4 or 5 out of 10. The Scooby-Doo special effects aren't necessarily bad, but they don't belong in what a Ghostbusters movie should be. The so-called comedy is just constantly spewing out zero-effort, lowbrow, poop and fart jokes that don't work at all. The movie starts out with a queef joke, for crying out loud, and it doesn't get better from there. The main cast is, they're trying, but there's just nothing to work with here, and ultimately, none of the characters in this movie were likable. Well, okay, Kristen Wiig was admittedly more tolerable than the rest of them, and kind of the best thing in the movie. She was the one chocolate chip in this raisin-filled cookie of deception, but frankly, I'm not eating a whole crappy cookie for one chocolate chip. The story is badly written, extremely sloppy, and full of plot holes and just stupid crap, including an absolutely miserable excuse for a villain. Like, for real, this is the weakest, least interesting, least creative, just lamest limp noodle of a villain I've seen in a long time. The climax is too long, boring, and just a bunch of loud noises and bright colors jingling keys in the front of the face of your audience like you're a friggin' baby, and it ends with a ghost getting zapped in the balls. Yeah, that's not just a joke that's in there, it's the climax of the entire movie. What? Like, it's got crappy cameos that don't friggin' work. It keeps imitating the plot of the first movie instead of trying to be anything new, like a reboot should be, because, that would take actual effort. Like, it's just bad. And one point that I think needs to be emphasized is that every review I've seen of this, every review, no matter what side it's on, is only talking about if it's funny. Like, is it funny? Is it funny? Is it funny? Here's the thing. A, it's not funny. But B, even if it was, even if this was comedy gold and drop dead hilarious, even if every joke hit the mark perfectly, it would still be inferior to the first movie, because the original wasn't just a comedy. It was scary, it had horror, and it had tension and drama, and like that scene with Dana in the demon chair, that scared the shit out of me as a kid. Like, as much as I liked the movie, I would usually fast forward through that part, because I couldn't watch it. And the dry, clever, deadpan humor worked even better because it was set against those serious, scary things and what was happening, and it was a relief from that tension, which is a really basic part of screenwriting 101 that whoever wrote this clearly didn't pass. In the new movie, it's just all noise and bright colors and goofy cartoon crap. There's no sense of danger or drama or tension. There's nothing to attach to. There's nothing to care about. And the new theme song is just ass. It's just ass. It's just total ass. I hate it. I mean, okay, I mentally prepared myself to see this movie. Like, clear my head, clear my mind, don't summon the destructor, be hopeful, be objective. And then I'm just sitting in the theater looking at my phone like, oh my god, when is this shit over with? How long have I been here? It's not even halfway done. Fuck! And that's pretty much the whole movie. Like, it's just this resounding meh of a production with no class or intelligence, that doesn't respect its source material or its audience. And under normal circumstances, it would just be like the RoboCop reboot. We didn't think it would be good. It wasn't good. And we bitched at it for a bit, and then moved on and basically forgot that it ever existed. But you can't do that with this movie, and we all know why. And that's what a huge portion of the discussion over this is really about. But I feel like it's been rather superficial for the most part. Like, not wrong, but not going as deep as it should for something that's so serious at the root of this. So I'm gonna try my best to sit here and delve into this dumpster fire of a situation as best I can and see if we can all come out of it a bit wiser, okay? Okay. Where do I begin? The core argument that is at the center of all of this is sexism. And that's what this whole mess is about. Sexism is a complex and serious issue that affects literally everyone on the planet, and it is one of the most deeply rooted social issues we will ever have to deal with. And this movie, for various reasons, has become a lightning rod for the worst kind of exposure and debate, if you can even call it that, over said issue. The conflict has quite literally boiled down to a mass of knee-jerk, juvenile finger-pointing and paper-thin strawman insults that take everything down to, if you like it, you must be an overzealous man-hating feminist, and if you don't like it, you must be a basement-dwelling sexist man-child. And yes, there are people on both sides of the argument who absolutely are those things. I mean, this whole thing first ignited when there was a bunch of misogynistic douchebags who were raging and sending hate mail over the mere idea of an all-female Ghostbusters before a script was even written, before any actors were even cast. Those guys are sexist assholes and are probably voting for Trump because they are literal KKK members. And that, sadly, was the first real exposure the movie got. And yes, there are also some women who are so rabid in defending what they see as a step forward for women in pop culture and media that they're basically like Gollum, who will lash out at anything that even tries to criticize their precious movie. So, right off the bat, the fedoras are in rage troll attack mode, and the tumblers are in spiny paranoid defense mode, and it's not a good way to start the game. And this entire situation is really just a perfect example of how it's virtually impossible to advance any cause online on the internet, because people will just draw lines in the sand before anything even starts. They've already got everything decided in their head, and will automatically turn any person who disagrees with them into some easily labeled straw man argument, so they can just lump them in with whatever the worst example of their side of the issue is, so they can disregard anything you say and avoid actually having a discussion. This mentality is absolutely everywhere, and it is especially rampant on the internet, and it is poison to any topic. The inability to have a mature and honest discussion without flying into a tantrum will stop any form of resolution or progress dead in its tracks, and frankly, that is all this movie has been so far. The things were not helped by James Rolfe when he said he refused to see it, which was unprofessional, in my opinion. I mean, I'm just some random guy. I can say I won't see it, and that's fine. But when it's your job to see movies and you refuse to do your job, that's different. And this is a guy who has made pretty much his whole career making fun of things that are bad. That's how he got his success. Yet when this bad movie came out, prime for the views that he could have gotten from roasting it, now he won't touch it. I mean, I obviously don't believe he did it because he's a sexist or anything like that. Duh. But you have to understand what that looks like to people who want to believe in this movie and are already agitated to begin with. When a white male who has made a living from making fun of movies and seen tons of bad movies before suddenly refuses to do his job when it involves an all-female cast. And yeah, like, dude, you're going to get called a sexist for that. I mean, come on, you work on the internet. You couldn't possibly have not seen that coming. And I think that underlies a major problem with these bickering factions, if you will. If you are on a side of an argument, and there are bad examples of people who are on your side for the wrong reasons, you have to understand what you look and sound like to other people. You have to have that basic level of self-awareness. You have to understand that if you don't like the movie, you have to present yourself as a calm, mature, logical person with legitimate criticisms in order to even have a chance of being listened to or taken seriously. If you don't like it, and the first thing you do is put on a fedora, spray a gallon of Axe on your neckbeard, and say shit like, stupid bitches and feminists are raping my childhood, then you will be treated and responded to like a sexist douchebag, because that is exactly what you look and sound like. The only way to cut through the bullshit is to not chime in with it. Which is exactly what Sony did. Oh boy, Sony went out of its way to pour gas on this fire and fan the flames as much as it could, because that stirs up controversy and gets the movie free publicity, which is free advertising, which equals more money for them because people will go see it now just to see what all the hubbub and hullabaloo is about. And make no mistake, Sony did some underhanded shit, and is even now relentlessly poking that beehive with its new cringe-inducing ads for the movie. They deleted comments off the trailer. Not sexist comments, though. They left those. They took away the negative ones that were just simple, valid criticism, and only left the nastiest, most degenerate comments so that it would make it look like anyone who didn't like it was a sexist. They made their cast post rage-inducing comments meant specifically to piss off fans. They very, very likely paid for fake positive reviews of the movie, which is something they've been caught doing before, and blocked all reviews of the movie until it was already released, which is a huge red flag for any movie, because it means the studio knows damn well they've got a stinker on their hands and don't want bad word of mouth ruining their opening weekend. Sony has done pretty much everything in their power to stir up as much forced controversy as possible and make people hate each other just in order to make more money. So yeah, the whole thing is just one giant clusterfuck. And I hate that it happened to a franchise that I really liked, that, was a big part of my childhood nostalgia. But, and this is the important thing here, this is what I think the core of the issue really is. And I want to address the other side of the room right now, because I'm on this side over here, the side that hates the movie. But I want to reach out and say something to the people who want to like this movie, who want to defend it, and want to believe that it's doing the things for women that it claims it's doing. I want to send a message about the cause of gender equality, as if I was talking to the people who made and especially advertised this movie. Not that they'll ever actually see this. Okay, I get your cause. I do. I believe in it. I do. And I believe that, at least at first, the people making this had the best intentions. But there is something you have to understand. about equality and representation, no matter who it's for, be it women or minorities or them fruity queer folk or tri-gendered leprechauns, what the fuck ever. You must understand that bad representation is worse than no representation, because bad representation creates and perpetuates negativity and stereotypes and just becomes fuel for the people who said that you couldn't do it, because you basically proved them right and gave them another reason to believe that, and made it even harder for the people who come after you to break out of that bad stigma. If you are going to do this, if you are going to remake a major popular franchise with an all-female cast, it has to be good. It not just should be, it has to be. You have to bring your A game. You have to do the best job you possibly could, because simply existing is not enough. It's not enough to just make something for the sake of making it and think that that qualifies as progress. It doesn't. It has to be good enough. But the new Ghostbusters reboot, it didn't do that. It made a cheap, stupid, half-assed movie that couldn't hold a friggin' candle to the original, and the sad truth of the matter is that when you do that, ultimately, you are hurting your cause way more than you help it. Because what's going to happen is that all those little girls you're trying to sell the movie to, all those new fans you're trying to make and empower, they're going to try to join the main fandom of the franchise. And they are going to go see the original movie, either out of curiosity or because other people tell them they have to see it. And when they do, they will be heartbroken, because the original is leagues above the reboot. But that realization will not just come to them as, oh, well, the first movie was better. No, instead, it will come as the realization that their version, the one, for girls, is clearly the inferior one. Those girls you tried to inspire will instead feel betrayed, because they have to ask, hey, how come the one we got is so much worse? What is this shit? How come the boys get the good one and we get the crappy one? What the hell? And yes, a lot of them will feel that way because that's how you frickin' sold it to them. Okay? That's how you advertised it, and that's what you piggybacked off of to sell tickets. Nobody's going to feel empowered when you sit there going, yeah, ladies, this one's for you. This is all yours, chicks. Girl power. We can do it. Woo, yeah. And then you barf out some mediocre, dim-witted comedy that treats its audience, the women it's trying to sell to, like idiotic children with no intelligence and no attention span. Like really, how offensive is that? Being told, hey, this is for you, and then being given a product that clearly believes, hey, you're stupid enough to like this, right? Thanks for the money. It's like if I went to a convention that was supposed to be specifically for male gamers, and all they had there was Call of Duty merchandise, Doritos, and Fleshlights. Okay? That's insulting. And that's what the new Ghostbusters is going to feel like when all those new fans go watch the original. And frankly, after sitting through the new movie, I'm going to have to address something I did not think I was going to have to address. Because this movie itself even plays the sexist bullshit card, as in it itself is being sexist, which is something I was really surprised at. I mean, maybe it wasn't meant to be as bad as it seems. But again, after all that steam being blown about how pro-woman movie, aka the movie whose entire motivation and selling point was gender representation, it is really hard not to see how men are portrayed in this movie as anything other than some kind of snarky, mean-spirited backlash. Like you want to talk representation? Let's talk representation. Every single male character in this movie is either an asshole or a complete idiot. All of them. In fact, let's do some comparisons, shall we? Who's the receptionist in the first movie? Janine, a skinny but tough little lady from Brooklyn who's no nonsense and is just trying to make a living and she's tired of your shit. A likable, relatable character. Who's the receptionist in the reboot? Oh yeah, Chris Helmsworth, aka motherfucking Thor, who is a bland, pointless pretty boy who is so stupid he is basically functionally retarded. Okay, the models in Zoolander were smarter than his character is, and that movie was specifically making fun of stupid models. And yet, yes, he's basically retarded. He is a grown-ass adult who does not know how to operate a telephone, who is so incredibly fucking stupid. When he hears a loud noise, he covers his eyes instead of his ears because he doesn't know the difference between his own fucking eyes and ears. Like Chris, what the fuck? You were Thor. You could have easily turned down this insulting trash can of a role. What happened? How did your agent rope you into this? Because I can only imagine it involved actual rope. And that big finale of shooting the ghost in the balls, normally that would just be written off as like generic shitty lowbrow humor. But in these circumstances, now it feels an awful lot like some very unsubtle fuck you to men in general. And that's just another thing about equality and representation that this movie does not understand. Because no matter what your cause is, no matter what group you're a part of or how long you've been oppressed, no matter how bad things have been for your kind or your people or whatever, and no matter what kind of sexism or racism or religionism or chewy or crunchy baconism or whateverism you've been fighting against, you have to understand that the point of finally getting that piece of the pie and trying to make things better is not to be able to say, ha, see how you like it, we're gonna shit on you now, we get to be the bullies now, yeah. You are literally, well, figuratively, shooting your cause in the foot. This is some preschool level shit. Two wrongs don't make a right. Do unto others. Yoda's speech about hate begetting hate, yada yada and so on. Treating the other group badly in return will not make progress. It will not get them on your side. It will only fuel the toxic us versus them mentality that's been the problem the whole fucking time. It only encourages and exacerbates the negativity of you're either for us or you're against us, men versus women, Republicans versus Democrats, dubstep versus actual music. You have to understand representation is supposed to be about fairness, not about revenge. Okay, I'm done. I'm finally done. Rant mode, disengage. I just really hate to see how this entire debacle has unfolded around a series that I really liked. How I wish this could just have been another shitty reboot and just bitched about it and left it at that. But I guess sooner or later a movie was going to happen that brought this subject up. And I am just beyond disappointed at how it played out and how much better everything about it and around it could have been handled. But at the end of the day, it is still it's just one movie. There are so many other, much more important things to be concerned about these days. I just hope that someone stumbled across my 2 cents and walked away from it smarter. At least now I can go back to the rest of my life and enjoy it. Wait, what's that? They're making a sequel? Son of a bitch!